Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Welcome to week 3 of 7338. This week we're talking about systems theory, strengths and ecological perspectives, and acculturation perspectives as well. So let's get started. So systems theory, as you probably have read in your textbook, is the basic idea is that everything is interconnected and one thing affects another. Um, Events and occurrences and circumstances don't occur in a vacuum, but are in relation to changing circumstances in an individual's life. Behavior is influenced by a variety of factors that work together as a system. And so there's lots of different systems in an individual's life: parents, friends, school, class, home environment, friend environment, lots of other different factors that influence how a person thinks and acts. So here is a case example. In one case study, a client is engaging in risky behaviors such as drug abuse and unprotected sex. Upon examining her environment, it was found that she hadn't had contact with her father for 5 years, and some of her only memories of him were of drug abuse and arguing with her mother. This led the client to self-medicate with drugs when things went poorly, and also provided a poor social model for relationships and little emotional support. Again, there's lots of different theoretical frameworks that we could use to apply to this situation, but if we're specifically looking at systems theory, we want to look at lots of her different systems and how they interrelate with each other. Social workers must observe and analyze all of the different systems that contribute to an individual's behavior, and then work to strengthen those systems. That will kind of tie in with strengths perspective, which we'll talk about here in just a second. Creating positive role models, more supportive systems and environments for the individual. So strengths perspective is based on the belief that an individual possesses abilities and inner resources that allow them to cope effectively with challenges of living. So again, this is the idea that an individual possesses, all individuals possess strengths and have strengths that they can utilize to overcome some of their challenges. So there's kind of 7 different principles of strengths perspectives. All people have strengths and have the capacity to continue to learn and grow and change. The focus of intervention is on the strengths and aspirations of the people we work with. Communities and social environments are seen as full of resources, and so utilizing and tapping into some of those community and social environments. Service providers collaborate with the people that they work with. Interventions are based on self-determination. So this is one of the NASW Code of Ethics as a primary self-determination for clients. There is a commitment to empowerment and focusing on empowering clients to utilize their strengths. Problems are seen as the result of interactions between individuals, organizations, rather than within individuals. So again, it's very focused on clients' strengths and empowering them to utilize and tap into some of those strengths to be able to overcome some of their challenges. So when I was working in the field settings, we would use some of these questions when you're working with clients. So what are 3 basic skills or talents of yours? What qualities about yourself are you most proud of? What do you enjoy most about your life? What achievements are you most proud of? You've been through some really challenging things. What has helped you to cope? What advice would you have for someone else going through your exact situation? So again, really, I'm kind of trying to reframe a lot of their challenges and focusing on their strengths and what strengths they bring to the table to be able to overcome those. Ecological perspective. So ecological theory is concerned with the interaction and interdependence of organisms and their environment. Similarly, the social work profession was built upon an acknowledgement that individuals, families, groups, and communities interact with their environment and are shaped by their environment. A lot of times you hear ecological systems theory. So it's similar in a lot of ways to systems theory. The ecological approach provides strategies that allow a social worker to move from a micro level to a macro level treatment as well. So again, similar to systems theory focuses on more micro level changes, but can also go to meso and macro as you kind of look at their different systems. Ecological perspective suggests that the primary premise explaining human problems is derived from the complex interplay of psychological, social, economic, political, and physical forces. This perspective allows the practitioner to effectively treat problems and needs of a variety of systemic levels, including the individual, family, and small group of the larger community. So there's different professional roles that social workers play within ecological framework. There's the conferee. Sorry, there's little kids walking by here. There's the enabler. There's a broker role, a mediator role, an advocate role, and a guardian role. So then when we talk about acculturation, so this comes from your reading for this week, not the textbook and not the novel, but the article reading that you have for this week. So looking at acculturation and what is acculturation, usually it has concerns a dominant group having more power to influence and oppress a non-dominant group. And so there's a couple of different steps and different processes for acculturation. First is initial contact, right? So the conditions under which two cultures meet. There's sometimes a conflict, predictable tension and fighting occurs when one group tries to dominate another group. Adaptation, so form of accommodation between two groups to reduce the conflict. So a couple of other things. These are different from acculturation, but are kind of fall under a similar umbrella: assimilation, integration, segregation, and marginalization. So the reading talks about those different aspects of acculturation. Mexican Americans have often experienced segregation due to the nature of their relationships with the dominant culture and the tendency to retain cultural traditions. Acculturation is dynamic, as evidenced by Mexican Americans' movements from segregation towards integration. So we're kind of seeing that shift a little bit in our culture. Acculturative stress, behaviors and experiences during acculturation. So during this process, individuals may experience anxiety, loss of identity, feelings of alienation, and things like that. So these are some of the things that I want you to think about and consider when you're doing this week's reading of the novel as well. The weekly discussion asks you to integrate some of these concepts that I've talked about with you and apply them in the novel and how they can be applied. So I hope you guys have a great week, and thank you guys so much.